Behind Ashfur and Millie, Rainflower is the cat in the Warriors series I believe to be most hated by the fans. Which is actually quite surprising, considering she is a Super Edition character. I guess she's just that bad. She completely rejects the existence of her own son, Stormkit, because of his broken jaw. She only recognizes him long enough to change his name to Crooked Kit. After that, she leaves the nursery before Crooked Kit and continues to completely distance herself from her own son. They have a couple interactions, but they are not of any quality. She does not even give her son a life when he becomes leader. Rainflower has damaged Crooked Star in more ways than one. She even led him to the Dark Forest. Her lack of love caused Crooked Star to fall victim to Mapleshade's false promises. Clearly, Rainflower is one of the worst mothers ever. But just calling her bad and moving on is some pretty low-level analysis. Rainflower is more than just a ball of concentrated evil. She does have reasons for her actions. Of course, they're selfish reasons, but reasons nonetheless. Let's take a look at her from the beginning. At the start, Rainflower was an okay mother. She loved both of her kids fiercely. Her main flaw was that she allowed Stormkit to act reckless, following patrols and climbing into trees despite still being a kid. Whenever Stormkit got into this type of trouble, Rainflower just told him how brave he was. As a result, Stormkit continues to be a naughty little kid, eventually falling on a stepping stone while adventuring and breaking his jaw. While sneaking off and breaking his jaw was certainly Stormkit's own fault, Rainflower never tried to discourage Stormkit from his dangerous behaviors. Later in the book, Shellheart, Rainflower's mate, states that Rainflower does not like to admit it when she's wrong. This is very true throughout the entire book, including now. Rainflower knows that she was not protective enough of Stormkit. She knows that his injury is partially her fault. However, she would never admit to this. A common misconception I think people have when reading the book is that Rainflower simply rejected Stormkit because he was ugly. While that was her initial reaction, I think Rainflower rejected Stormkit because she thought he was going to die. Rainflower's weakness was not that she refused to love a cat that was not perfect. Her weakness is that she refused to love a kid that might die. She did not want to continue loving Stormkit because it would break her heart even more if he died. Stormkit could hardly eat. He was being malnourished because of Rainflower's actions. Following this mindset, Rainflower tries to distance herself from Stormkit as much as possible, sleeping in a separate nest and eventually a separate den. The most terrible thing Rainflower does is change Stormkit's name to Crooked Kit. However, I believe this was not necessarily done because she wanted Stormkit to suffer. Rainflower did this for herself. Rainflower was just trying to forget that Stormkit was her son. If Crooked Kit was to die, it would be Crooked Kit dying, not Stormkit. Rainflower was trying to shield herself from the fact that she could have caused the death of her own son. At the end of the book, Crooked Star almost rejects his daughter for the same reason. His mate, Willowbreeze, and his other two kits died due to the promise Crooked Star made to Mapleshade. His promise to the evil Dark Forest cat allowed her to kill every cat he loved. He was completely convinced that his daughter Silverkit would die and it would be his fault. Just like Rainflower, Crooked Star rejected his kit because he thought he would lose her. Oakheart, his brother, even points out this. The difference is that Crooked Star overcomes his fear and eventually does give Silverkit the love she needs. Crooked Star realized the error of his ways before it was too late. Rainflower did not. By the time Rainflower learned that Crooked Kit was going to survive, she had already done many terrible things to him. Of course, she does not want to admit that she was wrong. While asking for forgiveness from Crooked Kit would have been the right thing for Rainflower to do, Rainflower is clouded with the fear that Crooked Kit would not forgive her. Now, Rainflower is responsible both for causing Crooked Kit's injury and giving him a harsh name. Maybe she feels guilt, but Rainflower would not want to tarnish her reputation by owning up to her mistakes. That is something a nice cat would do. And as we all know, Rainflower is not a nice cat. This is why she continues to ignore Crooked Kit. Although privately, she might actually be proud that he has gone so far and achieved so much despite his disability. She is just unable to admit this. So this is why Rainflower failed as a mother. She made many mistakes in raising Crooked Star, and as more and more mistakes piled up, she was less and less willing to claim responsibility and work to fix them. She keeps her emotions to herself all the way to her death. The grief surrounding Rainflower's death provides a much needed reminder to the reader that, despite all of her wrongdoings, her actions toward Crooked Jaw did not define her entire character. No cat in RiverClan is happy to see her die. She was a loyal warrior that worked hard in the name of her clan. Oakheart, the son who was fortunate enough to actually receive her love, was crushed. Even Shellheart and Crooked Jaw are upset, and that makes total sense. While Crooked Jaw did suffer from Rainflower's selfish actions, he never wished she would die. Even though Rainflower was a dishonorable jerk at times, she was still a living, breathing cat. She still had emotion and motivations that would be cut short by her death. This is why we do not see any cat celebrate her death. All Rainflower did was neglect Crooked Jaw. She did not try to kill him or even exile him from RiverClan. When more evil cats, such as Ashfur or Mapleshade, have their heart broken, they turn to murder and revenge. Rainflower never acts with such aggression. She only ever hurt Crooked Jaw while trying to hide the mistakes she made while raising him. Crooked Jaw's grief shows he knows this as well. Under all of his bitterness about the way Rainflower treated him, he was mostly disappointed that he did not have the chance to make her proud. He still recognizes her as his mother. Finally being in StarClan, Rainflower gains the ability to watch over Crooked Jaw as he takes his position as deputy. Being in StarClan allowed her to see into Crooked Jaw's thoughts. Now, Rainflower knows for sure that Crooked Jaw never blamed her. Shellheart tries to convince Crooked Jaw that Rainflower still loves him. When Crooked Jaw finally receives 9 lives and becomes Crooked Star, Rainflower does not give him a life. I don't think this shows anything about her character. I think that Erin Hunter did this on purpose, so that it could be up to the reader to decide whether or not Rainflower was proud of Crooked Star. And I think she was proud. She just, once again, could not admit it. Rainflower probably wanted to wait until Crooked Star was in StarClan. The question that remains is whether Crooked Star and Rainflower actually made up in StarClan. I think they did. If the fact that Rainflower was accepted in the StarClan is not evidence enough, Shellheart's words about Rainflower set the optimistic view that Rainflower is in fact proud. Maybe it is finally time for her to admit that she was wrong. In the manga, at the end of Crooked Star's promise, we see the end of Crooked Star's life. When he enters StarClan, he is immediately greeted by his dead family members. Oakheart, Silverstream, Willowbreeze, Shellheart, and Rainflower. So, Rainflower may have been weak and self-centered. She was unwilling to accept the harsh reality of Crooked Star's injury and her mistakes that caused it. She kept away from Crooked Star to avoid the grief surrounding his injury. Over the course of Crooked Star's life, Rainflower's actions are proven wrong. Because of the terrible things that Rainflower did to Crooked Star, she was worried that he would not forgive her. As a result, she holds back her feelings from him. When Rainflower dies, she gains the perspective needed to realize that Crooked Star did not hold a grudge. All he wanted was for Rainflower to love him. I believe that despite everything, both Crooked Star and Rainflower wanted to love each other. I believe that after Crooked Star entered StarClan, they made up. After all, they are family.